Teresa, the show, obviously Edmund is a queer man, and Nora is what Nora is, and whatever but queerness has been front and center since the beginning of the series, and just having a legend like BD Wong be in the series, of course. And then you have like these icons this season with Gina Gershon and Leah Delaria and Janine Garofalo, who are all queer-ish or queer. Would you talk about weaving that into the series and why that has been important to you?
Yeah, I think, part of it too, when we started the show back in, we shot the pilot back in 2018, which really feels kind of like a lifetime ago in terms of not only representation on screen for like Asian American faces, but for queer actors as well. And I think going from then to now, just to be able to see so many more queer actors be able to take the stage and like, again, not necessarily have to be like the model, like they don't have to, they can be messy, they can be ridiculous, they can be mean, and not necessarily have to be like, oh, we have to fit this perfect way because America sees us only in this way. And so I think it's really something that, we didn't necessarily start out to do that in a way. I think especially to like, we didn't say, oh, we need to represent Asian Americans in this particular way. We were just trying to tell like a very specific and authentic story. But I think that's been a really nice byproduct to sort of see that there have been more opportunities for, queer actors to come out and just be whoever they want to be without having to like feel this like weight of representation on them.
Right. Thank you for that. And Bowen, for you, what's it been like to be a part of this series that it just is, there's not a meal made out of queer identity. It's just who Edmund is.
Exactly. It's been so rewarding. It's been so, I don't know, like it's really changed the way that I think about every project now, where I'm like, this can just be, a family comedy, a family sitcom with a queerness or an Asianness modulated onto it. And it still works. It's still just as appealing to anyone. And I feel like even when I got booked for the role, which I still think is like, it's my luckiest break. Like when I got the part, Edmund wasn't really conceived to be this like queer person. He was kind of this like Silicon Valley tech bro guy who, is either aggressively one thing or another. But like for me, for Teresa, for Nora, for everybody working on the show to like just seamlessly fold this into the character, the fact that he has all of these insecurities that are both specific to gay men and also pretty universal to everybody was just so lovely. Like there was never any sort of pushback or questioning or sort of trying to figure out how to repackage it a certain way. It was all just taken very, very, very honestly and authentically. And I will always be grateful for that.
And it's one of those things where when we originally wrote Edmund, we had a thing in mind. And then, it's all to Bowen coming in and basically in the audition, we were like, oh, wait, this is Edmund. And it is a different sort of image in our mind of what Edmund is, and really wanting to rewrite the character for Bowen. But I think in BD's case as well, it's just like, okay, there's obviously a character here, but just the best person came in and just inhabited these elements of like, oh, this is okay, Bowen is Edmund and BD is Wally, and we are going to, in different ways, really utilize them. Like their talent was the thing that just made us be like, okay, these are also now going to be characteristics of the people that we had in our minds, but now we're going to shift them a little bit.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. And, Bowen, a little bit on this, still on this, I spoke with BD ahead of the second season, and it was a really beautiful conversation where he talked about what it meant to him to see you come in and be able to be yourself, and all that you're doing with SNL, et cetera. And I wonder, would you talk a little bit about what it's like to work with BD, who is a legend and, who was out and doing this work before anyone really?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're catching me like fresh from the fight. I just presented him an award last night. with and Lori was there too in the audience. It was a really nice, mini reunion. But I basically wrote in my remark in my presentation to him that like, he has been someone who has, defied all spatial laws of physics. And he's like walked ahead of us this whole time in terms of blazing all these trails, but also walked alongside us at the same time. It's like, how does he do that? Like, how is this one person with such a prolific career been able to like, I don't know, like just flatten this whole concept of like, like the trail being blazed or like, things happening. He's just being able to sort of, the first time I like met BD, like it was just this really cosmically important thing. And I'd heard that he like kept this wonderful community of like out Asian actors from Broadway, from film and TV, like that he just was able to sort of mentor them in a way that was so meaningful to everybody. And then it was me and Joel Kim Booster were coming up in comedy together, and we were just like, oh my God, I hear BD Wong like just keeps this great like coterie of people, and like, what an amazing person. Like someday, like, wouldn't it be so amazing if we were like that, if we got to like just pass, just I don't know, like pay it forward like that. And he is someone who, gosh, I get so I'm overwhelmed at the thought of like everything he's done. And just from meeting him the first time in person and then on set was just so meaningful, where he was able to show me like there was a different paradigm to all this. Like I was so used to walking onto sets, having to explain myself. And the first scene we shot for the pilot as a family, the four of us, was at a Chinese restaurant where we all ate like wood ears, and we ate these like really, really fun, authentic Chinese dishes. And we were all talking about our own experiences with these dishes. Like, oh, I remember eating this growing up and this growing up. And I was like, I've never had this on a set before. I've never been on the call sheet with, my family members. I've never had like people. I've never been the cousin or the brother or the son, the father. Like it was just so meaningful for him to be there and have it all culminate in this lovely educational moment. Does that answer your question? I just think he's.
I love it. I could listen to you talk about him all day.
Oh seriously, me too. I'm like emotional.
Yeah.
I just realized there's another connection because BD was on Law and Order SVU.
That's right. That's right. Oh my God. Oh yeah. And it's so funny because Wally watches the show from home. He's like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God, BD is like one of like an iconic character in the procedurals.
And Teresa, I know you spoke about, not making this about, it just happens to be about Asian people. You're telling this story, which is compelling and very funny. And I guess we can call it a moment. I hope it continues, but with the success of Everything Everywhere All at Once and Fire Island, and Beef is the biggest show on Netflix at the moment, I think. I don't want to be wrong, but so there's value in telling these stories. And sometimes Nora is a wacky stoner comedy, but it's still there. Would you talk about the value in just telling these stories and showing people just living their lives, even if it's just Nora getting high in her room?
Yeah, I think it just normalizes, I think I worry too sometimes about calling it a moment, because it's like, I think Beanie Babies had a moment, like I think Pogs had a moment. It's like, no, we are here to stay, and it's fine. I think it's, we finally get our due in terms of being able to see more Asian people on screen in all the various ways that we can be. And so it's nice to see like the sort of more fancy Asians, and then it's, obviously our show is kind of what it is. And I think but by virtue of existing, I think is already just a huge win. Not only for Asian people who just want to, get stoned and like, watch TV in their bedrooms, but just for anyone who's just a fan of comedy too.